Okay, we have the resist out of the machine, and it has been cut where we had it marked. Next thing to do is to make sure we have a piece of clean glass, and I usually wash it with soap and water, and then I'll take a little bit of alcohol and just rub it till it gets squeaky clean. Use the other part to dry it. That way you can make sure that your adhesive will stick well to the glass. Now, remember we have the backing on this, and we have to pull that backing off. And you'll see what I was talking about. In fact, I'm going to cut this piece off and save. No use using a piece that I don't need. I'll have maybe able to use that for something else sometime. So I'll cut that off. And now I'll grab the backing and try and get it peeled off. Okay, here we come with the backing. Now notice what happens? It pulls off the pieces that were cut. And that's a problem if you try to cut everything, because it'll pull all the pieces off, and that's not what you want. I have tried different methods. You need something that's not as sticky on the back. I tried parchment paper, which doesn't stick at all, and that didn't work. Then I found that if I took parchment paper and took a little of this Easy Tack glue, I could spray the parchment paper with that, and it would just be a light tack, and I'd use that instead of this backing, and that way I could pull it off and keep all the pieces if I wanted to cut it all first. Of course, if you don't have a machine, it's not a problem, because you're just going to put it on the glass and then cut it. So we have to carefully remove the pieces. And not get them stuck to one another, which is easy to do. And now we need to put it onto the glass and try and center it, and make sure we put it down very evenly. So that it's going to be flat. And to be sure, I take a little roller and just roll it on there. Now there are a couple of pieces that didn't quite come out, and so I will take my little knife and take those out, and then we'll come back and we'll go to the sandblaster and see how we do that. I'll show you how to cut the other pieces just on glass. It's very easy, but I'll show you. Okay, we're going to take an X-Acto knife, and first we're going to lift out the pieces that didn't come out. This piece of this eye didn't come out. There it is. And it looks like everything else pulled off the back. Now, as I said, if you don't have a zing cutter, that's not a problem. You just take the backing off, you put it on the glass, you trace something on it. You can do that before you put it on the glass or after. You could use carbon paper, you could draw it by hand. You can use clip art, a number of different things. Once you have it on there and you have it on the glass, it's then pretty easy to cut it out. Simply take an X-Acto knife that's sharp, and I'm going to cut the rest of these lines now. So that's that one cut out. Doesn't take a lot of pressure. Just follow your lines on there. And that's that one cut out. I'll cut the rest out in a bit and get it ready to go over there. The reason I want those cut out is so that after I have blasted this first area, then I'll be taking off other areas so that I can blast those. And if I have them cut out ahead of time, then it's no problem to pull them off and just keep going. Otherwise I'd have to stop and take them off and cut them. So that's the general idea. We're going to take this glass and this over to a sandblaster. We'll talk about sandblasters over there and see what we can do. Alright, we've added some blue painter's tape around the resist, simply to cover the rest of the glass. We don't want any of the rest of the glass to be frosted up while we're doing it. Also, I'd like you to take a look at the picture we've printed out. This is a picture of the Santa Claus, and I've used red for the markings of where the first blasting will go and blue for the second blasting. This is always a good idea so that you know exactly how you're going to do the parts, where you're going to blast, and you want to be careful as you don't re-blast over lines that you've already cut from the previous layers when you peel off more layers. So we'll talk a little bit about sandblasters now in themselves. There's several kinds of sandblasters. This one that you see here is a small sandblaster. They can be used for carving glass. They can have a pencil blaster inside, or you can get a gun for them. You want to make sure that you have a gun for the blaster. You'd like to have at least 5 CFM, that's cubic feet per minute, and you want to make sure that your air compressor can produce that much. A bigger blaster, blast cabinet, will look a little bit like this. And here we see a blast cabinet. In this case, you blast inside. The other one you actually blasted inside too. This just is a little larger. And it uses also a dust collector, so it helps collect the dust. And that's so that you can actually see inside. Turn the light on so that you can see inside what you're blasting. And in this case it uses a gun, and it's called a siphon blaster. Now there are two main kinds of blasters, a siphon blaster like this one and a pressure blaster. The siphon blaster actually draws the material up through the hose and blasts it out into the cabinet. The pressure blaster is sort of like a big barrel. It's enclosed and you actually pressurize it, and it pushes the media out through a hose, and it doesn't have a cabinet in it. The advantages of the pressure blaster are it's portable. It also runs at about 40 psi and will blast about 4 times what a cabinet will. The disadvantage, of course, is you have to have something to collect the media or you're going to just lose it. Siphon blaster runs at about 90 psi, and so we need an air compressor that will go to 90 psi. You can get anything in a blast cabinet that'll go up to 14 to 20 cubic feet per minute. This one happens to go up to 14 CFM. I'm running it actually at about 5 CFM nozzle. So let's put the material in and take a look at how we do this. Okay, we're going to do a little blasting. We'll turn the dust collector on. We try to follow the outline. And get a little bit of depth. This is our first cut, so it will be the deepest. Alright, let's just take a look at it. Okay, we can see by the nice white color that we're beginning to get some depth. I can feel it in there. I can feel the ridges around the top of the hat, and I can feel it going into the side. We're using single pane glass, window glass, which you can usually pick up at your local glass store or some scraps. It's not the best because you can only go so deep. It's better to have 1/4 inch glass, but this will do for our project to show you. So I'm going to finish blasting and then we'll show you the final results. Well, that's a very basic intro to sandblasting. As I said before, I've only been at this about a week, so you can see that it does not take long to be able to do a credible job. You can do it by hand. You don't need a zing cutter. If you're interested in a zing cutter, you go to our website at aaproducts.com and click on the store, and on the left hand side of the index near the bottom you see pattern cutters, and that'll take you to the zing cutter, and you can at least see what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done any glass carving, it's a new way to handle glass and also very enjoyable.